In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a simple business process using Agilepoint. I'm going to start here in the design environment, which you'll notice is just in a browser. To get started, I'm going to drag a start task out onto the process. And then once it opens, I can associate it with a form that I've already created. And opening it up will let you see the forms designer. For now, we can just preview this to see what the basic form looks like. And I've added some logic to this field at the top here, so we can use the same form for multiple purposes. So forms like this can be made accessible generally through the web, through a customizable work queue that can be embedded on internal systems, or through email. So closing out and saving this form, I can return to the process designer. And I want to click next here so I can give my form a name, call it form 1. Now I want to add the next step. So I'll drag a standard task out from the side here and open it up. And I can create a new form here for this task that I'll call the review form. And it's based on the form that I created previously, so I don't have to go through all the work of building everything from scratch again. And once I do that, I can see this form is opened here. And I'm going to add a control to give this form some routing capability. And over on the left here, you can see that there's tons of options for the types of controls that I can add. Basically, any type of control you can think of is here. All I need to do right now is add a drop down, which is just a list that I can configure to say anything I want. So I'll call this routing, and I'll configure it to say forward or return. And that's all I need to do for that. Make it a little bit bigger. Then I'll go up here to save and close. And now I can go through and customize this task more if I want to. I can set the display name to be anything I want. And on the next tab, I can set the participant. And I can set it to be a person, a role, or a group. Right now, I'll just give it to a user. And that's all I need to do to configure this form. So the next thing I'm going to do is add an activity to this process that automatically creates a PDF using some of the information that I filled in on the forms. And to do that, I'll drag a create document shape out onto the canvas and name it create PDF. Then I'll have to select a template. We just happen to use SharePoint, so I'll select SharePoint here. And next I just have to point it to the template itself, which is going to be easy to find using this interface here. Here it is. And these templates are really quick and easy to create. Here's mine. I just created it like any other document in Word using mail merge fields. And I could also create a table in here which could be hooked up to a repeating set of values for my forms if I wanted to do that. So back to the process here, I'm going to click next again, which will take me to the next screen, which will configure where I'm going to save my new document to. And again, I can save it wherever I want. It doesn't have to be the same place where the template is stored. But I'm just going to use the same SharePoint library just for simplicity's sake. And the only thing I want to do here is drag one of my variables out into this store this response ID in this variable box, which will let me get back to this document later when I need to. So if I click next again, we're on the configuration screen for the document itself. I just have to click save as PDFs, and then I click load files to load in the files from my template. Then once I click move all, you can see that it loads my fields over here, and I just have to drag and drop my form fields in from this list of variables on the right. And then I can set the name of the document to be whatever name the user typed in on the form. And remember, I could use any type of data in these fields, not just form data. So if I had process or runtime data that I wanted to use here, or data from another system that I wanted to put in, I could easily do that using this same process. And that's all it takes to create a PDF. The last thing I want to do in this process is email my new PDF out. So I'll drag an email shape out onto the canvas and give it a name. We'll call it send PDF. Then I'll create a template for this email. First, I have to give it a name and set who it goes to. And for this one, I'll just use the process initiator as the person who's going to receive this email. And then I'm just going to set this priority to normal. And I can click this content tab to start writing the email. And since we're using SharePoint, I'm going to send the document as a link rather than as an attachment. And so I can use my data in here as well. And I'm actually going to want to drag my response ID out here from the side because I'm going to use that to create the link. And I can create the link by clicking here. And now I can build my link using the standard SharePoint document link structure, which I can get just by copying from a document that's already in this library. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it in here, and then I'm going to use this ID instead of the ID that's already in there for that document. Then I'll just add a little bit friendlier text. Press insert, and I'll add a subject, and I'm done. So finally, I'm just going to create some logic that will move the process backward or forward depending on what I've selected on the form. And to do that, I'm going to pull out one of these condition shapes. And this shape allows for some incredibly complex rule making. It can rely on usage data from the process, form data, data from external systems, really any type of data that we can pull in here. And you can stack rules on top of each other here and create long, multi-part, complex rules using this interface. For now, we're just going to have two rules. We're going to have forward or return, and we'll click here to customize it. And all I have to do is drag in my routing field and say that if it equals forward, we're going to send it forward, and if it doesn't, then we're going to return it. So that's all I have to do for that. And so now that's everything, and I just have to hook everything up here to wherever I want it to go, and click save, and that's my process. And when I want to start the process, I just have to go here and click this link. This interface is Agilepoint's built-in process launcher, but you can put these links anywhere you want, and you can see that clicking this link causes my form to pop up, and now I just have to fill in some information, and click submit. And this form is automatically routed to the next participant's queue. And what that's going to look like is this. And this is an example task list, and you can see if I hit refresh, the new task has popped up. And remember, this is Agilepoint's built-in page, but you can put this web part anywhere you want, or just assign tasks via emails and not use this at all. But if I click this, you can see I have a lot of options for interacting with this task and process. And I'm not going to go into these right now. I'm just going to click open task. And you can see this second form has popped up, but it's kept all of the information that I typed in before. So now when I click submit, it's just going to run through the rest of the process. So right now it should be creating that PDF and storing it in SharePoint. And in any second, I should get an email with that link. And here it is. And I just have to click here to open my document. Opening it up, you can see that my form fields have been populated. And if I go back to my task here, I can click this view process, and I can easily see that we've moved through all of the stages of this process, hit this condition, and completed. So that's the end of that, and that's all it takes to build this process from start to finish. To wrap up, I'd like to emphasize that this demo is only intended to demonstrate functionality and is not intended to be a preview or prototype of anything that would actually get built. This was an extremely high-level overview of Agilepoint and some of its most basic features, but I hope this video has given you a sense of how extremely versatile this application is and how it can be used throughout an organization to optimize, streamline, and automate work of all kinds.